Oh, and hello, everybody. We're playing whack-a-mole here, and you'll have to figure that one out on your own.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 35th episode of the Insiders on Real Estate and Marketing. I am your wonderful host, Sandy Hibbard of Sandy Hibbard Creative, and my sidekick here, Mr. Marc Miller. Hey.
How you doing?
A special thanks. Secured Title has been sponsoring us all year and last year.
Yeah,
so
it's been a great
appreciate
experience.
them very, very much. It's been a lot of fun. So, and we have a super duper guest today, Mr. Dick Dillingham of Keller Williams. He has done a little bit of everything in real estate here in Dallas-Fort Worth. He's an expert. He's a trainer that's covering the globe right now for Keller Williams. So he's got a lot of good things he's going to be sharing with us and some tips and advice on how to build and how to plan for 2023. But first, let's check with Marc and get a pulse on this crazy market we're in right now.
Well, the market is crazy in another way now because it's not transactionally overflowing. We're really slow. And obviously we know the most apparent is the decrease or the increase in interest rates. But
Right.
then we get the overlay because now we're in December, which is the holiday time, and transactional normally falls down a little bit from that. So, but it's kind of flatlined a little bit out there.
Yeah, and we were just talking about all the
Yeah.
realtors that are out there
All
too
that
right
being
now.
said, we're in the best place in the country we could be for real estate. So it's not
Yeah.
all that alarm, but I think we're going through that consolidation side of the industry, and which I hate to see because we're seeing a lot of good people losing their jobs.
But
and
don't
out
you
in the
remember
market.
20 years ago, 15 years ago, this was normal for December to just skid to the stop nearly.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I remember
but-
helping people do their marketing to just kind of keep things floating and
Right.
going along
Right.
in November, December because
Yeah.
business was so low.
But skid did not usually result in loss of jobs. And
Well, now that's true.
the skid we're in.
So
and
why?
So,
Why
well,
is that
because
happening?
it's the government is accomplishing their plan. they're slowing the economy.
We aren't going to talk about that.
No.
We're not going to focus on that. But we're just navigating through inflation and the impact of that, and they're determined to slow it. And I think we're kind of the first victims of that decision because every time they kick that interest rate, it has an impact of what the mortgage rates are going to be. Although they're not directly immediately correlated, there is a correlation to that. So, and I think we'll get some softening of those rates. And then the lenders always are strategic about trying to help their realtor partners on bringing programs forward like buy downs, et cetera, to try to help stimulate the sales. So we'll be fine. It's just I was telling Dick when we first sat down, I said, he and I have gone through a lot of cycles, but I said, this one is probably the most rapid in 1 year that I've seen from
Really?
just exceptional transactional volume to a standstill and panic and what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden realization, and then companies beginning to have to downsize to deal with that offset. So anyhow, we're not
All the while the consumers kind of
we're going to concentrate on the good side of the world today.
Yeah.
Good.
But that kind of, at least sets a little bit of the tone. So, but, let me introduce Dick. He's been a longtime friend of mine and supporter, which I appreciate. He's been hanging in this game since, in fact, we both entered the market in 1977.
Yeah.
So 45 years we've been in doing this.
Barely out of school.
And when he was selling, he was consistently a multi-million-dollar producer, and he's out of that part of it, but he's still contributing significantly to the real estate industry, and went to SMU and got your bachelor's and your master's degree in that.
Right. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept going.
He just kept getting educated.
Kept going to school.
And for over 20 years, he was a senior instructor with CRS.
Oh, that's cool.
And at one time, national president of CRS in 94. And then he also had served as vice president and dean of Keller Williams University faculty. And he was operating partner with Keller Williams in Northern California, Hawaii region, now an investor.
Right.
And he's now an investor in Maryland, D.C. region, and then also, obviously, an investor in a named brand, I call it, in the Plano market of Keller Williams Plano with our buddy, Mr. Brody.
Brody?
Yeah.
Brody.
So we go.
So you do have your fingerprints all over.
Oh, absolutely.
All kinds of
over
real
this
estate.
market, up and down the Golden Corridor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, all that being said, I'm delighted to have Dick
Welcome.
here.
Thank you.
And we'll jump into some things. We kind of set the stage, but rates up, inventory up substantially. Foreclosures are beginning to present themselves. I was talking to Roddy last week, and they posted 350 postings in Dallas County, and they only foreclosed on 50. So we had, roughly about 300 push. But that's beginning to have some presence. I think we're going to have to manage through that, and transactions are all.
You think we're going to see more? You think that's going to increase?
Well, I think for more than one reason. I think the other reason is you're going to see it is because I think the shock of taxes and insurance going up with people that have escrowed for that, and they're going to get their notice of their payments in the new year, and then I think that's going to overlay that with the challenges of inflation and cutting into your savings, everything else, just to try to make it. I think that's going to create a challenge and or an opportunity. So, and historically, we've always seen REO in our in inventory basket. So I don't think that's anything new to that side. It's
Like
just
the interest rates aren't going back down fast enough. I mean,
well, they won't.
We
Won't go
talked
down.
about that in
Yeah.
the show earlier this year about people thinking, well, we can go ahead and pay these high prices because we'll just refinance probably at the first of the year when they go down. Do we think that's going to happen?
I think you'll get a soft landing, but I don't think you're going to get a substantial
We're
reduction.
not going to go down to the high twos again.
No.
That was artificial to begin with.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people took advantage of that. There's a lot of people that have a lot of equity in their homes right now. And so that's going to soften the whole REO thing.
Yeah.
The ones that are going to get really hurt, a couple different groups, the ones who've only been in their house a year or two, so they haven't really gotten that whole appreciation that we've gotten for 5, 6, 7 years.
Correct.
And those people who've taken cash out, when they've taken cash out for whatever reason, home improvement, debt consolidation, all of a sudden that equity is not there anymore because they cashed out.
Right.
And they're going to be suspect.
Oh, yeah. And you've got the, with the rising interest rates, we have a tendency because of the space we're in to look to real estate, but think about the rising interest rate as it impacts credit card debt.
Right.
And I think that's where another substantial hit is going to come there.
So not only are you having inflation across the board, but you're also having it on your debt. So not only is it cost more to buy food and groceries, but this is a crazy, crazy spot.
But we've been here before.
Yeah,
Everyone is the same mostly. I mean, the principles are the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
The details are a little different. But this one seems so quick because of the unbelievable high we were on.
Right.
Now, 45 years, I've seen a lot of things. I've not seen a market like we went through for the last 3 years.
No.
Where you put a house on the market, within 48 hours, you had 14 offers, 22 offers, 44 offers, and it goes 100,000 or 25% over list. I mean, wow.
Right.
We haven't seen that in Dallas.
No, we haven't. California's seen it.
You probably thought about going
California's
back
seen
in
it,
and
but-
I
selling.
thought I was in California. Yeah, that's right. But you know what? The higher things get, the quicker they fall. And so I always sort of pray for medium. I want medium.
Yeah.
And because medium lasts longer.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting
always
it. I
say-
like that.
Well, we had
Middle of the road.
controlled appreciation in this market for a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fairly
Yeah.
predictable, one would say, and then all of a sudden,
Gary Keller says, the co-founder of Keller Williams, he says, anything above about 4% a year is not sustainable. And so if you're at 6, 8, 10, 12, there's a day of reckoning that's coming. There's just no two ways about it.
Right.
So what does this time remind you of? If it all repeats and it's all the same but the small details, what does this remind you of?
Well, in some ways, it reminds me of every shift we've been through, but in some ways, it's going to have its own characteristics, and we don't know what they are yet. We don't know how deep this is going to go. We don't know how long it's going to last. The longest one I've been through about 5. The longest one I went through was that one starting somewhere around 2007 that went to 2011-ish. That was that was a rough one.
Yeah.
That was rough.
That took us right through
was right in the middle of that
RTC,
one.
and that was the S&L crisis meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, and I remember the one in the late 90s, early 2000s when we got to the high interest rates that we talked about a minute ago, 16, 17, 18%. In Texas, we could only go to 9 7/8 because of usury laws that had been passed. So imagine this, seller puts his house on the market, buyer wants to buy it, makes an offer, 9 7/8, but the seller has to pay 9 points.
Whoa.
Okay.
And a point is 1% of the loan amount of whatever they're going to borrow.
Yep.
So it could be 9 points, could be $40,000, $50,000, $60,000.
Yep.
Back in those days, I asked in the title business, you remember these days, I asked a title person, I said, how many sellers have to come to the table with money? Said 2 out of 3.
Wow.
I remember that.
2 out of 3 sellers have to write a check at closing.
Because they didn't plan on enough?
Right. I mean, they don't have any choice. It's not a
Yeah,
planned
they're just
thing.
responding to the market
Exactly.
conditions to
Oh,
sell your
wow.
house.
So in a shift, one of the things that happens is people still buy and people still sell. They just buy and sell for different reasons and under different circumstances. So,
What are the different reasons you're seeing today?
well, I mean, they're the same. A job transfer, job loss, family change of some kind.
Life event.
It's a
Yeah,
life event.
life
There's
event.
like 8 of them, you know.
Yeah.
And but you're not going to be as discretionary in a tough market as you would be in a good market. In a good market, you have a life change. Well, we'll postpone that or do that.
Right, and you feel like you've got time to think
Yes,
about it and
yes.
culminate the ideas or what have you. But this market we've been in has been, you've
Well-
got to act so quickly. I wonder how many people have made decisions that they really regret when it
You know,
all
one of the
settles.
biggest problems we have when we're in a shift is fear of the unknown. And one of the things that people talk about all the time is they don't know if they're going to be able to they don't know if they'll have their job 6 months from now. Mark was talking about the people getting out of the business. Hey, people are getting out of their business, whatever their business is, involuntarily in a lot of cases. And so a person who doesn't know if they're going to have a job in 6 months is not a great buyer.
You
know?
think?
And if they lose their job, then all of a sudden they could become a panicked
Yeah.
seller.
Yeah, yeah.
Because how do they make those payments? And they've got the equity, but they can't make the payments.
Right.
And so,
Can't tap your equity and you're drawn into your savings and,
tough.
you know, you're still trying to be an optimist but
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have the strategic understanding of what you need to do.
yeah. But let's brighten things up, please. I don't want to be the guy who, remember that guy they had on one time? Who just,
No, because
we're in the best place in the world.
We are.
Yeah, we are.
We are in the best place in the
We
world.
are.
And that's because we're a very, very jobs-oriented market.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have many, many more people coming in. Just drive down LBJ. Now it's unclogged a little bit. Just drive down LBJ and look at the license plates.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
And commercial is booming all over the city.
Yes.
You're seeing more and more, though, apartments going up. So let's talk about that for a minute. What is this going to do to the housing market? With this influx of people, what was it, 600,000 people that came into DFW? Was it last year or the year before?
Well, it was
What are those
last
stats?
Sunday when I was there. They'd all come in on that day. I was 65th in line in the pre-check.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh my gosh, I think they were all there. You
So
know,
all these people are coming in?
Everything happens, Sandy, overboard.
Yeah.
If we're short on apartments, then we're going to build more apartments than we need.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And when we get more than we need, they'll finally say, now there's a glut. Then they'll stop.
Yeah.
It's the same for housing.
Okay.
It's the same for
Okay.
new homes.
That's a great point.
Everything goes to it because people see, the real estate business. Look at all these people making all this money. I'm going to become a realtor.
Yeah.
And then they keep coming until they can't make. Now, all of a sudden, we'll start shrinking in terms of the realtor
Right.
community.
So what were you saying that the Collin County Association of Realtors is planning for growth?
167 new agents a month.
A month.
Yeah. So, and we've
These are
already
people
got
that have these aspirations and
That's
dreams.
20,000 a year. You know, again, depending on how deep this is, that is going to be a tough number to hit.
absolutely.
Because what happens is there's a lag. People get in the business a little too late because they see all these people making all this money and having all this fun. That's a fun. And so they come and they keep coming. They're still coming. And it's going
Yeah.
the other way.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're
Right.
still coming because there's a lag effect.
Yeah.
They don't know that it's getting bad.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They're all excited.
That's right. Now, listen, my sister lives in Oklahoma City, and she was talking on a call with the family last night saying that she wants to get into real estate. And I'm listening to her talk about it, and I thought to myself when we hung up the phone that this is the problem, is that people don't understand. I mean, we're sitting here talking, our viewers are listening to this because you have an interest in real estate. We're in real estate. We're in the business. You are interested in real estate. So you get all this information. But the guy that's out there, the gal that's out there saying, I'm going to quit my job and I've saved up $5,000 and I'm going to get my license in real estate. They have no idea about what the state of the market really is.
If they come in with their eyes open, I can make a case for this is a great time to come in.
Yeah?
But I'm going to tell you what the downside is. The downside is it's going to be harder to get going.
Yeah.
Okay, so during this time period that it's not going well for new people, there's several things you can do. You can improve your skills. You can become a master of the market.
This is
go
good.
out and learn. You got to learn all this stuff, and then when it turns, boom, you are ready.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but to think you're going to walk in here and just hit the road running is maybe a little too optimistic.
Yeah, it's
So
challenging.
it just depends on what's your, if you're going to come in, what are you ready to do?
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
ready to maybe take 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 months?
Mm-hmm.
And while that's happening, you're getting super ready. So when it turns, you're like on fire. Okay.
But you're not going to make any money the first.
Well,
little
don't
bit,
say that.
right? I
You
mean-
can. Yeah, sure you can.
So
you can make some money.
We used
but
to
in a
teach
down-
realtors that they needed to have 18 months worth of cash set aside.
If you need 18 months worth of cash, you aren't doing enough good stuff. I mean, there's people who need 18 months worth of cash because they just sit around.
Yeah.
But if you're working a plan and you've got some good leadership and some good teaching, and if you're hard at it, you'll make some money. But you're not gonna hit a home run in a down market until you've been in it for a while. The hardest ones hit in a down market are the ones who don't have any past buyers and sellers. They don't have, everything's new to them. Many of them don't have a database. And so this takes time to ramp
Right.
this stuff up.
Yeah.
And frankly, it takes a few failures to prove to yourself that what you were being told is right. You got to fail forward sometimes, right?
And that you really want this.
Yes.
So this is what you're teaching agents across the
Yes.
country. And
Well, we're in a shift, so
Yeah.
what's going to be your message for 2023 in your
Yeah.
in your
Well, the
training?
message for 2023 is tighten your belt a little bit from a money standpoint, budget standpoint.
Okay.
Don't waste money because money's going to be harder to come by. Make sure you're dealing with motivated people, motivated buyers, motivated sellers. I had a friend who he trains with me on the circuit, and one day he used this and I loved it. He says, go out there and find buyers and sellers. Not just buyers and sellers, because that means people call themselves, I'm a buyer. Okay, but are you a buyer? In other words, are you a real buyer? Are you willing, able, and ready to buy?
right.
Or did it just sound good to
Right.
tell everybody, yeah, I'm out looking for a house?
But now the $64,000 challenge is how do you find them? I mean,
You ask questions. You lead generate, you prospect, you market, and then when you get in front of people, you learn to ask them questions. So, Sandy, what would it look like if 6 months from now you still hadn't bought a house? And if you say, oh, I'm in no big hurry,
they're not a buyer.
you're a buyer in name only.
Gotcha.
Or you're a buyer looking for a sweetheart deal. Every
Right.
sweetheart deal is a sweetheart deal for a reason.
Yeah.
It backs up to, or it needs a lot of work. Look, everybody's out there looking for sweetheart deals. And if a seller says, I'm in no hurry to sell, I could leave it on the market for a year.
They're not a seller.
No, they're not.
Okay. Wow.
They're not.
Okay,
So
cool.
you can't afford to waste your time with those people because now all of a sudden there are fewer buyers and fewer sellers. So you got to deal with real buyers and real sellers.
It's the same old sales approach, which is A, B, and C prospects, right?
Yes.
I mean, you got to
Yes.
determine who your A list
Right.
is,
Yes.
who your B is. I could, but, and then the C list is.
C list is just not right now.
Now.
We'll just stay in
Right.
touch, but you're not.
Right.
I'm not going to be coming by the NI, and I'm not going to be sending you a bunch of stuff and calling you every day because you're a C.
You're a C. You're not an A.
You know, when I'm
Remember,
thinking
that is,
back,
that's from a motivational standpoint.
No, I know. I
From
mean,
a character
I'm an
standpoint.
old school marketer. I've been doing this marketing
Well,
for
yeah,
a
I
long
know.
time, and I know the ABC list, and I know that it's so funny because I talk to you guys every month with Marc, and it always goes back to the same damn stuff. There are these basics.
Yes. So,
And we've got all these glistening, shiny balls, and we all want to, but you know what? If they're not prospecting,
No.
if they're not meeting people,
No.
right?
it all.
I'm preaching to the choir.
because
It just-
I'm just thinking back to just like when you and Brody had Brody and Dillingham. And I mean, you didn't have social media. You didn't have all this technology and
No.
everything else.
No.
I mean, what were the basics that you guys did to grow
Meet and greet.
meet and greet?
Go out to meetings. This is one of your lines from a year ago. I can go to a meeting, a networking thing, and I'll come out of there with a handful of cards, and I'll follow up with them.
Yep.
But that's what you do.
That's it. It's old school.
Wherever it is.
Right.
You join clubs, you go to meetings, you go. When you take your training, for instance, when I would take training, I would take it away from Dallas so that I would meet agents in other parts of the country. I'd get their cards, I'd put their cards in my database,
There you
and all
go.
of a sudden I get referrals because I'm the Dallas guy.
Right.
If I take a class here, we're all the Dallas guy or gal.
My message is always diversity. I think that for marketing for a new realtor, for an existing realtor, whether they're a top producer or not, you've got to have a diversified marketing plan. And it's got to be laser focused. So you're not just throwing your stuff out over all these things, but you're focusing
Right.
on a diverse methods rather of marketing. You can't throw out direct mail, I don't think. I mean,
No,
I remember the
I don't
stories
think so.
Jan Ritchie used to tell me about how they owned Bentry. They owned it because every night she would sit in her living room.
Glen Eagles,
Glen Eagles.
not Bentry.
Who was Bentry? Was it Mary Young or was it Lillian? It was a
Lily Young?
Lily Young. I
don't know, but
they were old clients of mine.
definitely Jan was Glen Eagles.
Jan was Glen Eagles,
Without a
and
doubt.
she would go to the country club, hang out,
Yep.
meet people.
Yep.
She would send out her direct mail at night, and so it's living. And Marc has talked
Yes.
about this so much this year about being, if you're going to be a luxury real estate agent, first of all, you need a luxury brand, but then you also have to live the luxury lifestyle. You're going to have to be where those people are going to be.
That's right.
No matter what level you're selling to, right? But I'm always fascinated at how it always comes down to these basic things.
Well, one of the things we talk about, Sandy, and it touches on what you do, we talk about the difference between prospecting and marketing. So prospecting, we always say prospecting is time intensive, where marketing is money intensive. And you need to do both. But as things tighten up, you want to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced.
I like
Now,
that.
the marketing needs to be diversified, but focused.
Focused.
Because you can't be all things to all people. You cannot be all things to all people. No agent, none of us can be. No organization can be all things to all people. No individual can be all things to all people. So
Right.
who are you? Who do you want to appeal to? And what credentials or what skills or what characteristics do you have that would support
That's
that
good.
target market, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to be a luxury agent and I don't own a home, if I'm a renter, then that's one strike. Let's keep
Not-
going.
not very authentic, is it?
Well, I'm a little concerned, so I need to maybe hear a little bit more. Have you ever been in a luxury home? But do you know what a luxury home is?
Right.
Well, isn't it over 200?
Right.
Okay, I think we've heard enough.
Yeah.
You know, but you see them all the time. You see what you see a lot, and it's life, isn't it? Wannabes.
Right.
You see a lot
yeah.
of wannabes.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're in a shift, it's crunch time.
Yeah.
Wannabes are going to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it was that old article years ago of the $1,000 a month millionaire. Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of about the social life and the bar scene, et cetera, to that side
Yeah.
to it. Dick, do you think, are designations still significant? Is it more to education than designation? Because you
I think
obviously
it
Good
were-
question, Marc.
I
Good
think it
question.
has moved a little bit, Mark. I think the education opportunities have become much greater, both in person and through podcasts and frankly, books and seminars and everything. And I think you're seeing the newer, younger realtors come in and go, okay, I know I need the education, but I don't know why I need the designation. Now, the people who have a designation, I remember a guy in our RE/MAX office when I was with RE/MAX, this goes back 30 or 35 years ago, and he said, well, I got my CRS designation because you convinced me to get it. And he said, I haven't gotten one piece of business because I was a CRS. And I said, well, do you have CRS on your card? He goes, no. I said, do you tell anyone you're a CRS? He goes, no. I said, do you advertise that you're a CRS? He goes, no. I go, God, I don't know why you haven't gotten anything, you know. I mean, if you've got a designation, hey, flaunt it.
Right.
Yeah.
Use it.
Right.
Let me tell you why me having a CRS is important to you.
Yeah.
Because you're the client, and what do you buy? Features? That's what it is. It's a feature. Oh, my realtor has a CRS. So what? Who cares? And what difference does that make to me?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why it's important that I have a CRS. Let me tell you what the benefits to you are. That's what people buy.
Right.
They buy benefits.
Right.
What's in it for them?
That's right. And it's that connection and the chemistry that a person gets at a listing presentation. But then to know the benefits is what's going to
That's the
sell it.
bottom line.
It's going to sell it.
If I wanted to be a luxury agent, I'd get a luxury designation.
Yeah.
If I wanted to work with seniors, I'd get the senior designation.
Absolutely.
If I wanted to work with buyers, I'd get the buyer designation.
Right.
As an add-on, as a part of my package of benefits to you.
Yeah. And then and why the benefit? Because I'm knowledgeable about this.
Exactly.
I mean, you
I'm
know,
committed,
let's
I'm
not
knowledgeable.
forget that, you know, in this culture that we're in right now, and don't get me started on the lazy, you know, oh, why do I need to have that? Why do I need to put on a dress to go
Remember
to?
you said we weren't gonna talk
go to
about
dinner?
that.
I know. Okay. So we do it because we're passionate. Because we want to help people, because we want to be the best that we can be. So I want to know as much as I need to know to help you make a great decision. That's
Exactly.
why we get a designation. It's not because you think it's going to help you sell something or get more. That's the wrong attitude, I think, to have when you're dealing with human beings. When we're dealing with human beings in a level of service like real estate is, I think there has to be authenticity. I think there has to be genuineness so that somebody can make that connection across from the table and trust you.
Exactly. That's the number one thing they want, trust.
Absolutely.
And you know what? They can feel it when it's there, and they can feel it when it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you are BSing your way through a listing presentation because you don't have a designation of any kind, shame on you. You know, I mean, and I think that's up to the broker to teach and represent that kind of a culture. And I know that Keller Williams does that. I love Keller Williams. I think they are a wonderful organization, but it is up to the brokers. It is up to the leadership to teach this and to make sure that these 160-something agents that are coming in every single month are given the opportunity to serve
Something
well.
that's something, Sandy, that's a little bit new. I'd say new meaning over the last 5 to 10 years. Is again, instead of a designation, I can offer a credential by telling you the names of the classes that I have taken. There's a fairly new class at Keller Williams called Wealth. It's just called Wealth.
Yeah.
And if I were to say to you in our conversation, I've just recently completed our 3-part session on wealth, and let me tell you why that's important for you in our relationship. Okay, always why it's important for you. Okay. We have more luxury classes than we've ever had. I can remember in the early days of luxury, there were really only 2 or 3 formal classes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. They had one that was a prerequisite to getting a luxury designation. Now they have all kinds of luxury classes available to
Yeah.
you, and all kinds of things that you can use to say, these are the credentials. This is the level of commitment. When you go into business with me, when we do business together, this is just a glimpse of how committed I am at improving my skills, my performance to make a better transaction for you.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. I think that's so important.
Yeah,
And I think
I
it's
think so,
important
too.
to the consumer. You know? It is. It's an interesting market, but I agree with you in what you said about there being, should be a priority this year on prospecting.
Yeah.
I like that. Prospecting enhanced by great marketing.
Yes.
I love that. Can I use that?
Absolutely.
I like that because I think that's really important. We're out of time, so let's just
Already?
keep this. Yes, let's just keep this flow and talk about what your 3 key things in this regard in the flow of what we're talking about that you want to leave with our audience today.
Okay, so not in any order necessarily. I'll say 1, 2, and 3,
Okay.
but all 3 are important.
Right.
Number 1 is mindset. Mindset, and I've got just a couple of statements. Think about it this way. No matter how deep and how long this shift lasts, there's buyers that will buy and there's sellers that will sell. So that's a mindset statement to say,
like
okay, our industry has not closed down. It hasn't closed down for December, January. It hasn't closed down because it's cold.
Right.
It hasn't closed down because we're in a shift. It just changes things.
Yeah.
And it says, Gary Keller said on the cover of his book called Shift, he said, it's not about the market. It's not about the market. It's about what you do. It's about what you do. Do you adjust? Do you shift?
Yeah.
If the market shifts, you're
Ooh,
going
that's
to probably have to shift. That's a That's a mindset mentality. I will also say this bonus point: be careful who you surround yourself with. Do not surround yourself with naysayers under any circumstances, because you're going to be in a fragile situation. So surround yourself with can-do, positive, up-type people.
Don't join the victims club.
No, oh no. Don't even
So true.
Don't even get close enough where you hear what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's contagious.
Yeah.
It is.
Positive attitude is contagious, so is a negative attitude.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. Number 2, stay with the basics.
Yep.
Stay with the basics. Get better at the basics. And maybe your database is probably more important to you now than ever.
Yeah.
Buyers and sellers, the clients need us more now. I mean, imagine all I have to do is put my house on the market. I put a for sale by owner sign out there and I'll get 20 offers. That's how simple they thought it was. And I'll have to admit there was some simplicity to it that isn't there today.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's more important. Your database is more important to you than ever before. And so are the sharpening of your skills. You need to be a skills-based salesperson. So that would be number 2. Number 3 is look for opportunities. There's opportunities in any market. If we're going into a shift market, historically, I'll tell you, REO could be a factor. Short sale could be a factor.
Agreed.
Definitely a factor would be the investor market. The investor market in terms of client, the investor market in terms of you being the investor. But guess what it takes if you're going to be the investor?
Capital.
Cash.
Yeah.
Cash talks.
Yeah.
Cash is king. But there's sub-markets, there's niche markets that are going to come up that you need to be taking advantage of and focusing on, because you can't have it all, know it all, and do it all. So stay with the basics. I said to Gary Keller one time, I said, anytime I get in a slump and I'm down and I'm depressed, I just go back to the basics.
I love
And he
that.
said, Dick, that is so great. But the question is, whoever gave you permission to leave the basics?
Ooh.
Slap on the hand.
Scolded by the master.
That's good.
Well, that's it.
Good
Awesome.
stuff.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Mark, what are your 3?
Well, just the quick is almost a recap, but to Dick's point about your database being is so important, and I think it's equally important that when you're in contact with that database to dig down and be consultative.
Exactly.
You're not calling them to say, are you thinking about buying or selling?
No.
How are you doing? What's
We
going
call
on in
them
your life?
care calls.
Yeah,
Care
exactly.
calls.
Yeah.
If you don't
I
know
just
the
wanna
names of
check
their
in with you.
kids, if you don't know how they're doing, if you don't,
Right.
if you don't, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's good.
I agree completely.
Exactly. And then the educate, it's not only the educate yourself, which we talked about, but educating the consumer
Yes.
as to what the market shift is, where the opportunities are, and things of that nature. And the consumer's not concerned about a flyer that shows where the best lakes are to go fishing.
No, not typically.
No, they're wanting to know what's going on.
Yes.
Be more factual about your area that you own in
Yeah.
terms of listings up or down or sales or medium sales price, whatever those things may be. And then I think to the biggest point, which applies across the board, and that's the pre-qualifying of
Yes.
the buyer or seller or seller.
Yes, yes. Not
You know,
pre-qualifying just money-wise.
No,
But
motivation-wise, yeah.
Exactly.
So those would be my three
That's
takeaways.
good. I like that. I mean, ditto and ditto. I think that one thing that is true about our show, Mark and I are always preaching the basics. So sometimes it seems like we're always wrapping up with the same three things.
Well,
because
we're making a point.
They work, exactly. And so database, number one, to me, as a marketer, your database is your gold. How you treat that database can make you a ton of money, or it can just sit there and gather dust and
Some
get
people
old.
call it a data bank.
Yeah, oh, I like that.
Yeah, because
I like that.
that's there's a great quote in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent that said, your database is your business.
Yeah.
How much,
It is.
How much clearer can you be?
Yeah.
It is. So that's my number 1, 2, and 3 point for marketing in 2023. Get your data bank together. If you know people, who you meet, the whole thing, everything that you do in your day, the people that you're meeting, your mom, your cat, your doctor, get them on your data bank because they don't know what you do. And then telling them, I've always said that marketing is nothing more, it's nothing fancier than telling people what you're doing.
Exactly.
And reminding them.
Reminding
sometimes.
And reminding
Because you're
them.
working on getting mind share, aren't you?
Exactly. So do your prospecting, hone in on the basics, number 2, and use your database. And that comes to marketing. And if you need marketing help, if you have marketing questions on how to leverage your database, then call me and let's talk. I have a lot of different things and a lot of different ways to help you use that database to bring in nice, warm leads for your business. So, guys, I think it's wonderful. You are adorable. I love you. Thank you
I
for
wouldn't
being
tell
on the
him that.
show.
I mean, other
I do
people
think he's
have said that.
Mark,
They call it
thank
that.
you.
I've said humble too.
Yeah, but a great way to finish our year, and I really appreciate you.
Oh,
taking
I'm
the
so
time to join
honored.
us.
I mean, I
Yeah.
got the call. I finally got the call. I've been sitting by the phone, I mean, week
Oh,
after week,
Dick.
month after month.
Nah.
Then I almost didn't get the call because I thought, oh, this is Mark Miller. Sure it is. Sure it is. I almost
Sure, it's a
hung up on you.
spam call. Thank you
that's
so
great.
much
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing.
I appreciate it.
God bless you. Yeah.
Merry Christmas, my dear
Merry
friend.
Christmas.
It's been a
Yeah.
great year. And guys, thank you so much. Thank Secured Title of Texas so much. Thanks to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2023.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you.